Hey guys, welcome to our last webinar. This time we are going to be talking about drama. We're also going to be wrapping up creative writing and hopefully doing a little bit of reflection. So the first thing that I want to share with you is a PowerPoint, and that's what we're going to go through, and we'll use it to direct our discussion. So let me scoot over there. It's taking just a second. There we go. Okay, again, this is our final webinar, and here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about screenplays, our very last workshop, we're going to review the portfolio requirements, we'll discuss the importance of creative writing, go over some really important dates that are coming up, and have some time for questions. Hopefully we're going to keep this webinar short and sweet, and then I will be available for office hours tonight, Tuesday, September 1st until 8 p.m. Okay? So one thing I've noticed about the screenplays is that you're all having a lot of fun with them because I keep getting questions and ideas and thoughts, and that makes me really excited, just as excited as you guys are to write these. I found this great article by Carl Iglesias who says that there are 6 traits that all highly successful screenwriters share. In fact, I think that these are traits that all highly successful writers share, but they're certainly traits that you should keep in mind if you plan on being a screenwriter. The first one is that highly successful screenwriters have a driving desire to write. Highly successful screenwriters set a high standard of excellence. Highly successful screenwriters trust their instincts and write what excites them. Highly successful screenwriters understand the rules of the game and adapt to them. I want to stay on this fourth one for just a second. What he's talking about here is he's talking about the idea that there are ways of getting your screenplays published. You can win an award. You can have someone pursue your screenplay. You can get an agent. Either way, what you'll find is that publishing screenplays there's different rules of the game than there are for publishing fiction. So make sure that if you want to be a screenwriter that you're aware of these, and also that you can that you know how to navigate it. You can always ask me further questions about this, and I will be happy to talk to you about it. Okay, the next one, number 5, is that highly successful screenwriters write regularly and set goals. This is true for all the writers I know. In fact, I have a very good friend who writes 2,000 words a day. That's the way writing works. You have to write consistently and write every day. Highly successful screenwriters also evoke emotions in the reader. And we've been talking about this a lot. There's ways to evoke those emotions. You can evoke them through images, through scenes, through dialogue, through the situations you put your characters in, and through your characters. Okay. So just very quickly, this is the screenplay rubric. We can go over it. I'll zoom in a little bit for you guys. The first thing you want to look at and that we're going to focus on is voice, characters, and plot. Remember that you do get to revise these for your final portfolio if and when you want to. So the first section is voice, characters, and plot. Remember that your screenplay should be authentic. So you want it to have an authentic voice, so it should reflect your voice, but then your characters should also be believable and authentic as well. Your plot should also be engaging, and the narrative arc should have no cliched elements. Some of you ran into some cliched elements in your fiction writing. Make sure that you're not writing within a specific genre, because then it relies too much on your reader's assumptions. You want to actually create the image or the picture for them. The next part is the main elements. This refers to the specific assignment directions for this. Remember that there's 2 ways that you can do this according to Blackboard. You can either, let me pull it up very, very quickly. Sorry for the pause. And I've lost part of my screen. Let me zoom back out for a second. There you go. Okay, so as far as narrative arc goes, there's 2 ways that you can write your discussion board, or I'm sorry, that you can write your screenplay, and 2 ways to make this work well. So the first prompt that you guys should know about this is an opening scene for a movie. What is the conflict that you intended? What is at risk? You need to establish all of these things, and don't rely on, if you're writing in the genre of science fiction, don't rely too much on that. Make sure that you're creating interesting and authentic characters. That's especially true if you're writing an adventure as well. Don't rely too much on the adventures we already know, whether it's the adventures of knights and warriors or the adventures of, I don't know, like The Hobbit. Don't rely too much on our ability, your reader's ability to create those specific images. Instead, create it for them. The other option you have is just talk about one single event with at least 2 primary characters, but no more than 3, and have them interact. Work on those dialogues. Make sure that something's at stake. Make sure that you're comparing or not comparing, but you're developing what drives each character so that, like Robert Olin Butler says, that we understand their yearning, and then you evoke emotions through that. Just as a side note, also, I am going to grade your screenplays as early as possible this week. We'll talk about important dates later, but that will give you some feedback sooner than Sunday night, since your portfolios are due on Tuesday. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is our last workshop. I really like that you guys are participating so well and that you're including everyone. What I want to see is I want to see you continuing to develop feedback with specific examples. The last workshop wasn't the best one we've had so far. Seems like some people were trying to just get their comments in and get out. So remember that you need to develop specific feedback. Also remember to clearly discuss both the strengths and weaknesses of the piece. Seems like you're going in and really fast just saying, here's what I like about this, here's what you can fix. You actually want to discuss that and give your readers some more feedback. Also be concrete in those suggestions. If you want them to develop the characters, even if you're off base or you're a little bit off topic, think of examples, because my examples are always quirky. Think of examples or things that they could do with their characters to make them stronger. Don't just say your characters could be stronger. Okay, so make sure that let's finish this last workshop really well. Okay. I do see that we have a few viewers. If you open up the chat dialog, you guys can go ahead and type in any questions you have, and then I think that's the easiest way to do it. And then I can answer your questions. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about your final portfolio. Again, I'm going to zoom in. This is coming up quickly, very, very quickly. Remember that what you're going to do, for your final portfolio is you are going to turn in 3 pieces of your writing. Yeah, I'm going to try to zoom in on this a little bit more. So help you out. Okay, so you're going to put this together like an actual portfolio. Many of you might have questions about portfolio style, so if you do, please put them in the general questions thread on Blackboard, and we can start discussing that. Depending on what you go into, whether it's fiction writing or poetry or screenwriting or creative nonfiction, there's sort of different standards for portfolios, but you do want to start generating them you do want to start generating them as soon as possible. So just ask me if you guys, sorry, there was a knock at the door. Do ask me if you guys have any questions. Remember that you are required to have a title page with a creative portfolio title. Your name, course number, and contact information should all be there. You also want to have a table of contents. You can use the table of contents function in Word if you want to, or you can just create your own table of contents. Either one works. You want to develop you want to do 2 assignments of your choice. All right, so pick 2. You can add an extra one if you want to. An extra one's never going to hurt, but you can do 2 or 3 assignments of your choice. Then you're going to write a 2 to 3 paragraph autobiography. This might be a little challenging. It's always hard to write about yourself, but do the best you can. This actually, I actually would suggest that you do this early. Just draft it really fast. Pretend like you're talking to your friend or you've just met a new person, and then work from there to revise it. Remember that you want to clearly identify the main elements of each genre piece. So in fiction, creative nonfiction, screenwriting, or poetry, you want it to be clear that it is one of those, that you've gotten the main elements of any one of those into your writing. Make sure that you've correctly applied our course concepts to the writing samples. They should all have a very strong voice, and your portfolio should be free of errors, so really carefully look at the grammar and organization. Okay. Now, I decided that one thing I wanted to do is to sort of celebrate creative writing in our last webinar together. Since this is it, it's our last one. So what I want to do that is I wanted to look at a couple of quotes from writers and about writing that I really like. One thing, here's the first one. Writing to me is just thinking through my fingers. Remember that writing is both a cognitive act, but it's also a physical act because you have to type. I also think it's an oral act because I end up talking to myself a lot when I'm writing. That's okay too. But remember that you're thinking through your body, through your muscles, through your fingers, like Isaac Asimov says. The next one is fun. It's by Lewis Carroll. He says, when you are describing a shape or a sound or hint, don't state the matter plainly. Put it in a hint and learn to look at all things with a sort of mental squint. So again, what he's saying is he's saying that you don't want to tell your reader what's happening. You want to show them. Show them what's going on. The next one is you have to write one true sentence, right? The truest sentence that you know. And some days true sentences are enough. So write the sentence that you know. Even if you sit down and write one sentence a day, you're still writing every single day. Okay. The next one is just write every day of your life, which directly connects. Then see what happens. Most of my friends who are put on that diet have very pleasant careers. I forgot to say who that one is from, but I am 98% sure that it was George Orwell. I could be wrong. I'll come back to that. Okay, then the last one is writers live twice. They live their regular life and they also live through their writing, which is a quote from Natalie Goldberg, whose book you've been reading. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is really exciting because we're getting to the end of the term. I want to give you a couple of reminders. Tomorrow, you need to submit your portfolio draft if you would like feedback before I actually grade it. What I'll do is you submit it on Blackboard and then I will grade it. So I will go ahead and put your grades in. You can then look at the rubric and look at my comments and resubmit it. Of course, if you have any problems getting that rubric or seeing that rubric, just let me know and I will email it to you. I want these portfolios to be as good as they can possibly be. Okay. The next thing, September 3rd and 4th, those are reading and reflection days. You don't have anything due on either one of those days. You want to use them as a chance to work in your portfolios, to think of your progress this semester, to congratulate yourselves for working so hard. Then on September 4th, if you do submit your portfolio early, I will make sure that I have it up and graded by September 4th to give you some feedback on it. September 5th, your initial discussion board posts are due. Notice that they're not due on Thursday this week. They're actually due on Saturday. So you have a little bit of extra time. I do want you to keep in mind that September 7th is Labor Day. So if you're traveling for the weekend, if you're doing things with family, just keep in mind that it's also your last week of class. So you really do want to don't lose all focus. Okay? And then September 8th is when all assignments are due. There are no exceptions. I have to get your grades in less than 24 hours, so I need them all there, and I need them all there quickly. The only other thing that I want to mention is that I will have your screenplays graded. If not, you probably won't have time. I probably won't have time to get them graded for you and then to have you put them in your portfolio and revise them. If you do want to have that screenplay in your portfolio, just go ahead and write me a note and submit at least one of those 2 required assignments, and then you can add your screenplay to it. But either way, you should get those screenplays back probably tomorrow, if not for sure by Thursday morning, okay? All right, so that's the end of our semester. Just as a quick recap, we have talked about screenplays. We've talked about your last workshop. Oops, wrong side. We've reviewed the portfolio requirements. We've discussed the importance of creative writing. We've discussed the important dates. And we have time for questions. This is actually the first time that anyone has attended while I have been here. So what I want you guys to do, we've got 2 viewers. If you click, there should be a chat button in the top right corner. Don't click the Q&A button. It's disabled right now. But if you click the chat button, it should allow you to type and tell me if you have any questions. I'll give you about 5 minutes. You can also email me if anything comes up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop broadcasting, and I can follow up on Blackboard with any questions or during my office hours with any questions. Just let me know if you have anything. Thanks, Patrick, for attending. I just got your question. Okay, y'all have a good day. I will talk to you later.